know that I have an agenda today. That gets everybody's attention. My agenda is to inspire and educate you to be better chiropractors. Is that okay with you guys? Okay, so I want everybody to sit up really nice and tall in your seats so you can get a lot of oxygen into your body and your spines are nice and straight. And I do a lot of meditating, I do a lot of yoga. And one of my favorite things about yoga and meditating is before and or afterwards, we do a collective Om. Has anybody ever taken yoga? Do you know what an Om is? You know what I'm talking about? Okay, so it's very simple. All we're going to do is we're going to breathe in together, and on the out breath, we're going to accentuate and elongate the word Om. All right, so we're going to breathe in together, and on the out breath, we're going to do an Om together. Okay, you guys ready? Let's all take a nice big deep breath in together. That was really nice. Thank you guys for humoring me with that. Okay, so now that we're on the same frequency, we're on the same vibration, now we can learn some things. How about that? All right, so we're going to learn a little bit about, we're talking about neuroscience, neurophysiology, human adaptation. There's a thing in the brainstem called the reticular activating system, and that's where affirmations actually come into play. So Louise Hay is the queen of affirmations, and one of her affirmations is, today is going to be a really, really good day. So I want to all let's say that together. You guys ready? Today is going to be a really, really good day. Let's do that again. Today is going to be a really, really good day. All right, does everybody believe that? Yes. So when we say affirmations and we believe them, it actually stimulates our reticular activating systems and it changes things. So now that we just said today is going to be a really, really good day, guess what's going to happen? We're all going to have a really, really good day. Okay? That is our brain. I saw this picture. You know, when you're doing a presentation, you're searching on the internet and you put words in, these awesome pictures come up. And look at that thing. I mean, that is sending impulses to every area of your body so your body can work. It's an amazing structure, our brains. So we're gonna get a little technical, and then we're gonna kind of dumb things down for you a little bit. So I'm gonna talk a little bit of geek neurology type stuff, and then we're gonna talk a little bit about how you can explain this stuff to patients to make it simple. So we have this brain, and our brain is encased in our skull, and between the skull and the brain is what we call the dura mater. Okay? The dura mater is this thick, elastic, connective tissue. It actually does have some movement to it. And it protects the spine. It protects the spine, a cord, and it also protects the brain. Okay? This goes all the way around your brain and all around your spinal cord throughout your whole spine. Okay? It's a very, very important structure. Oh. All right, so in between the brain and that dura mater, we have cerebrospinal fluid. And that flows throughout the whole brain, and it also flows throughout the entire spinal cord, okay? It's a watery substance. It nourishes the brain. It nourishes the nerve structures, and it helps with motion, okay? So when we have motion in our spines, and what helps with motion in our spines? The chiropractic adjustment. It helps the flow of that fluid throughout the body. Very important. Does anybody recognize this guy? This is everybody, exactly. I'm glad somebody said that. Basically, we have stress in our lives. Would everybody agree? Can you raise your hand if you have stress in your life? If you didn't raise your hand, I don't know. I'm not believing you. Okay, so we have stress in our lives. Okay, we have our phones. We have people communicating with us constantly. We have patients who don't listen to us. We have patients that don't come in. We have people we want to serve that we can't serve, or we haven't served yet. Okay. We have so many stresses. We have responsibilities. We have a to-do list that says this. Our to-do list is basically everything, right? So we're constantly stressed. And guess what? Our patients are as well. So what happens in the brain when we get stressed? Well, I've never used a laser pointer before. This is kind of cool. Okay, so we have in our brains, we have what's called the hypothalamus. And the hypothalamus, when stress happens, it secretes corticotropin-releasing hormone. Okay? And that actually stimulates the pituitary gland to produce adrenocorticotropic hormone. And then that stimulates the adrenal gland to produce cortisol. Okay? This is called the HPA axis. Hypothalamus, pituitary, adrenal axis. Okay? So when all this happens, cortisol is increased in our bodies. Okay? And what happens when we increase cortisol in our bodies? Our heart rates go up. Our blood pressure goes up. It's the sympathetic response, right? So if we're getting chased by a lion or a tiger, that's fantastic. But guess what? When that happens, all our blood flow goes to our extremities. Okay? It goes away from our digestive organs, so we can wind up having digestive issues. And in the short term, that's a great thing. So if a tiger's chasing you, you want to get out of the way, right? But guess what? We're in constant sympathetic response. We're in constant stress response system. Cortisol is constant, okay? And it takes us a long time to go back to homeostasis. So we had animal adjusting yesterday, and I noticed maybe it was just one of those, maybe it's the reticular activating system. Maybe I looked at this thing and saw animal adjusting. I have a lot of animals in this presentation. So a zebra. There's actually a book called Zebras Don't Get Ulcers. Isn't that cool? So why they don't get ulcers is this. When they get stressed, basically a lion chasing them, for real. Like, lions aren't chasing us. Well, probably not, but maybe. But a lion chases a zebra because the lion's hungry and he wants to eat the zebra. So the zebra runs away from this lion. Okay, cortisol increases in his body and he runs. It's that sympathetic response. He has to get away from that lion if he wants to have his life, right? So he does that. But guess what? When the zebra gets away from that lion, within 30 seconds, the body goes back to regular homeostasis. For humans, it takes a lot longer than that. And the problem with us is we're constantly being stressed, okay? This zebra may get chased by a lion and then may be fine for 6 months. It can go around grazing and eating the hay and the grass, okay? So we're constantly under stress. We're not zebras. We're humans. And what the zebra has is what's called resilience. So you see this, I love this picture, how you have this, this cut tree, and all of a sudden there's still life coming out of that, okay? And what's the greatest way to build up our resilience? What you guys all do, the chiropractic adjustment, is the best way to keep your body in homeostasis, reduce that stress response, and keep you resilient. I told you there were animals in this presentation. So I was in Peru last year, and there were llamas. And what do? I'm a chiropractor, so I want to get my hands on that llama, and I want to adjust that llama, right? There was a little situation with this llama, because I tried to adjust him, and he actually spit on me. So hopefully your patients don't spit on you, but this is what we do, right? We're chiropractors. We adjust the spine, okay? And when we do that, it decreases the stress response. It decreases cortisol in the body, gets us back to homeostasis where we're supposed to be. Okay, chiropractic is amazing. Isn't this dog cute? This was my dog when I was younger. When I was in chiropractic school, I think I was in the second or third try. My dog was sick, and he had no control of his bowels. He really couldn't run very well. He couldn't really walk very well. I couldn't hear very well. I couldn't see. He was basically on his way out, right? He was like 15, 16 years old, and he was getting closer to going to doggy heaven, right? So one day I was home from break, and I was feeling his spine. So I'm like, I'm just curious, what's this spine? What does it feel like? So I'm feeling his spine, and I felt a subluxation. And when you're in like second, third try, you're like, I'm not sure even what a subluxation is, but this does not feel right. So what I did was I just felt this bone, and I was like, yeah, let me try to move this thing and see what happens. I mean, he's going to die anyway, right? So what's it going to hurt if I adjust this dog? Let's see what happens. So I adjusted him. I moved this bone. I don't know what segment it was. It was probably like L1 or L2 or something like that. I heard this pop that I was like, I never heard a pop like this in my life. Of course, I've heard a lot more since then. I hear this pop, and he looks at me, and he gets up, he jumps off the couch, and he runs around like he's a little puppy again for the next 5 to 10 minutes. It was one of the coolest things I've ever seen in chiropractic. And I wasn't even a chiropractor yet. But I knew in that moment, wow, what we have is, it's just incredible what we can do. And like Jay was talking about yesterday, there's no placebo with dogs. Dogs they're not going to talk to you. They're not going to tell you anything. I adjusted him, and things changed. It was pretty awesome. Okay, our spine and our nervous system. So we have this brain that connects to the spinal cord, and then out from the spinal cord go these nerves. Now these nerves they're like branches of trees reaching for the light. They want to get to where they need to go so they can make that organ tissue or cell function. Okay, they're like roots in the ground. Okay, it's like they're just reaching for life. That's what these nerves are doing. And what we get to do as chiropractors is we get to release that so that that life can go through that body. Neurology is pretty simple, right? Brain, spinal cord, nerves go to organ tissue and cells. Bone's out of place, there's a pressure on the nerve. Those nerves don't work the way they're supposed to. Those organs, tissues, and cells don't work the way they're supposed to. Okay? So all that fancy stuff in the beginning, this is what we really need to know. Okay? So our body adapts. We're talking about human adaptation. We're in the Himalayas, high altitude, right? What does our body do? It raises our red blood cell count so we can have more oxygen, so we can survive in that altitude. All right? People in Peru that grew up in Peru, these Sherpas, they can withstand all of these high altitudes because they've adapted to it. And everybody can do this. It just takes some time. But the body has that ability to adapt automatically. Running. This is like the boardwalk here. So you go for a run. What happens? Your heart rate increases. Your breathing rate increases. Your blood pressure increases. This is a good thing. Blood goes to the extremities so you can run. Okay, so you can move your body. The body is constantly adapting. The next few slides are more about how you can communicate this stuff to patients in a simple way. Bill Esteb and Ernie Landy actually inspired me to have what we call whiteboard words or phrases. So you can have a whiteboard and you can write a different word every week, every other week, however often you want to change it. We have a little frame and we put a word in there. Pretty much every other week we change it. And it develops the ability to communicate with people. Because people see this word and they're like, what does shiver mean? Why do you have shiver up there? What does that have to do with anything? And they get curious and they want to know more. So I actually don't usually use the pictures, but I think I may in the future. So shiver. When we get cold, what do? We shiver, right? So our muscles and our arteries constrict, so we get more blood flow, so it warms us up. Automatically. Our bodies are amazing. Fever. What happens when we have bacteria or virus in our body? The body raises the temperature. 98.6 is the perfect temperature for viruses and bacteria. So what does the body do? The body is amazing, right? It raises the temperature. That's incredible. Ambulance. So the ambulance is like we're always in this emergency state. Fight or flight. It's always a sympathetic response. So what's the best way to decrease that emergency response? The chiropractic adjustment. Chameleon. That's a cool word, right? I couldn't spell that on my own. I just want you to know. So the chameleon adapts. We adapt. The chameleon basically can be in a tree and he can change his color. Okay, that's adaptation. And that's what we do all the time. Not that we change our colors, but our bodies adapt to our surroundings and our environment. Circuit breaker. This is a good one. Look, our spines are like that circuit breaker. When we get a subluxation, what happens? The bones go out of place, put pressure on those nerves. Now there's no energy going to your arm or going to your heart, your lungs, wherever it needs to go. So what do? We turn that circuit breaker on, and now we have the on switch, and now things work again. It's so simple, right? Ice versus water. We talked about the duromotor before. The duromotor is actually flexible. It moves, okay? We don't want it to be like ice. What happens when you're dead? You get ice, you get cold, you get rigor mortis. Things don't move anymore. Everything gets stuck in one place. There's no movement. Okay, water flows. Water's always going to win. Have you ever seen a waterfall? You see a water coming from above down through these rocks. It just finds a way. Water is resilient, just like our bodies are resilient. And they're more resilient when we get a chiropractic adjustment. Train runs beautifully when it's on the track. When one car goes off the track, what happens to the whole train? It gets stuck. It doesn't move anymore, right? It affects the whole train. It's like our bodies. If one little thing goes off, guess what? It's affecting everything. Light switch. This is the easy one, right? I mean, you have a light switch. Your power's off. We turn it on. Pretty simple. The 3 bears. I was actually telling Noel the other day, I had an issue with 3 bears. Actually, I was camping, and bears actually ate my food. They were hungry, and I wasn't going to fight them. But the 3 bears. So Goldilocks and the 3 bears. Goldilocks wanted everything to be what? Just right, right? This bed's too hard. This bed's too soft. This one's just right. That's homeostasis. Everything is just right. When you get adjusted, you go back to this thing called homeostasis, which is normalcy in the body, so the body can adapt to whatever's going on, and that's what we want. And the chiropractic adjustment does that. Rubber band, there's a couple things with rubber band. And you can even just have a rubber band and show people this one. Rubber band, if you stretch a rubber band and keep it there, you know, it's going to lose its elasticity. Just like the Duramater. Okay, if we're in a crazy position where our heads are way forward, guess what? That Duramater is just going to stay in that position and stay like that. How much tension that's putting on that spinal cord and your nerve system? Not a good thing. Another thing with a rubber band is you can wrap it around the patient's finger or your own finger and ask them, do you think that's a good thing? No, that's cutting off circulation. All right, so are we going to wait till your finger turns blue to take that rubber band off? No, we want to take it off now so it doesn't get to that, right? So that's the subluxation again, putting pressure on that nerve. Movement is life. Move your body. Again, we talked about rigor mortis before. Movement is life. The difference between something dead and something living is movement. There's no motion in a dead person, okay? And you get that cold rigor mortis as well. Visualization. On my trip to Peru last year, I always had this desire to do a headstand. And that's actually me doing a headstand. Not bad, huh? Pretty good? Yeah? It took me a few years to learn how to do that. And it took a lot of help from a lot of people, a lot of yoga teachers. But one of the things that I learned actually from reading a yoga book, it talked about visualization. It talked about doing all the steps in your head before you actually go into that position. So it was such a key for me to actually go through that visualization process to be able to do that headstand, okay? So teach your patients visualization. Visualize them, tell them, listen, you have to visualize the healing cells going through your body. Visualize that energy. And you as doctors of chiropractic, visualize when you're moving that bone. See that energy flowing through that body. See the life force going through that body. See it. The mind doesn't know the difference between something real and something fake. Okay, so if you go there in the mind, you can go there in the body. Expect miracles when you're adjusting people. Miracles happen every single day. Now, Sharon Gorman always talks about miracles, and she talks about the miracles, that the miracles are actually the things that don't happen. It's the cancers, it's the heart disease, it's all those things that actually don't wind up happening in these people because they're getting adjusted. But people don't celebrate that because they don't know that that was going to happen, okay? But we see miracles every single day, so expect them and they will happen. More animals, right? Power of the pack. Okay, I actually went to a wolf preserve a few weeks ago, and I saw these beautiful wolves. This is in Columbia, New Jersey, near the Delaware Water Gap. It's a really, really cool thing if you can ever go. I actually camped there, and you can actually hear them howling at night. It's pretty awesome. It's like all of us oming, but it's a little bit louder. So there's power in a pack. Being here together, just being in the same room together, okay, our vibrations change. This is going to make us better chiropractors. So coming to things like New Beginnings, talking to other chiropractors, we're all in this together. We're on the same team. We should all be in cooperation with each other, and we work together amazing things happen. The world needs us. I did some research on the world's population. In 1959, the world population was 3 billion people. 40 years later, in 1999, it was 6 billion people. It doubled in 40 years. Today, it's estimated that there's about 7.6 billion people on this planet. Billion. That's a lot of people. Okay, the world needs what we do. In 2050, it's estimated that there will be approximately 10 billion people on this planet. That's a lot of people. We need a lot more people. We need a lot more chiropractors. The world needs what we do. That's right. So do the best you can to be the best chiropractor you can be so that we can adjust all these 10 billion people. You guys in? Yeah. Awesome. All right, I'm going to finish with a quote from Marianne Williamson, who wrote A Return to Love. And you may have heard this before, or pieces of it. I just think it's just a great way to close my presentation. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small doesn't serve the world. There's nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine, as children do. We were born to make manifest the glory of God or innate that is within us. It's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we're liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. We have a lot of work to do, as you can see. Let's shine our light. Let's be a beacon of light, and let's let let's let our patients' light shine, and allow them to live the best life possible with no nerve interference, and allowing their nerves to flow from above down, inside out, so that healing can happen, and we can heal the world. Thank you so much for having me. I love and appreciate all of you.
Oh my God, how's that for an